You know what? It might be my sign. Okay. Yeah. Great thing.
Okay, sit down.
All right, sure.
So this is about your stage here. And I'm gonna go back and forth between your live Zoom and your website, so it'll be in the background.
Okay.
I try to tell people not to go past the second row of chairs.
Okay.
And if you walk forward and you can't see yourself, that means you're off the
And
camera.
I'm off the
Yeah,
camera.
now I will move it to follow you, but if I don't have,
Me too.
yeah, if I don't have to move it a lot, yeah. So that's pretty much the stage. So right around here,
Okay.
you know, is your area. And if you go too far, like we had one lady who was always.
It was it.
Did your behind back, yeah,
Okay.
so I will let you know, but you know, I try to, yeah.
You said, is the link to go live? Where is it?
I can send her the Zoom link.
Yeah, send it to Sid.
Well, we're friends on Facebook, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's live on Facebook.
Oh, it's gonna be live on
Share from there,
Facebook.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I also download it after we're done and upload it, so it'll, you know.
So I can use it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and on average, our candidates when they come to speak, for whatever reason, which is good, we're getting 500 plus per person who comes out to speak. Yeah, so people online are paying attention.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, it's like now we do stuff in person, then we need to amplify it online.
Yep.
To get the impact.
Balance that out as much as possible. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm good to go there. Okay. All right, so thank you guys for being here this morning. I really appreciate it. For you guys who've been here before, you know, this is Thursday morning breakfast. We do this every Thursday morning because we're trying to be the bridge between all the good that goes on in the city and those that need that good to be done in their lives. Of course, when we have someone who is running for a public office who wants to represent us, we need to make sure that we ask them the tough questions because everyone that looks like us is not good for us. And we got to make sure that we get the right ones. So I've heard nothing but good things about this young lady. So I think she could most certainly be one of the ones if she gets the votes that she needs. So that's why we are here. That's why we're here every Thursday morning. We bring in private and public sector subject matter experts in a number of areas across the board. And of course, when it comes to politics, because our communities, grassroots communities, no matter what they look like, poor people don't always pay attention to what's happening politically. We are disconnected, we are disengaged, and that's a bad idea. Because if you're not engaged in politics, other people who are, they have an agenda, and their agendas will come to fruition, and they're not always good for those of us who are on the bottom trying to make this thing work out as best we can. So I'm going to read her brief bio. Thank you very much, Shakir, for keeping it brief, because Lord have mercy, sometimes these bios, I ain't reading all that. Oh, okay. Hey, Cole. Is that what you about to say, Cole? Oh. Oh, good question. I'll let you know if she doesn't cover that. I'll let you know after when we're done. What a not good agenda is. Something to have
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. So.
Think of one off the top of my head.
I can think of several. I can think of several. All right. So let me get through this bio that we can go. Okay. So former judge. I know you former. Audrie Lawton Evans is a native Houstonian. She, with her over 20 years of legal experience, her campaign for Harris County attorney. Combining exceptional trial skills, judicial leadership, and management expertise. She's running for Harris County attorney to defend our country, our county residents and their rights to vote, to pursue environmental justice, that's a big one, for communities poisoned by corporate polluters and protect working families from price gouging and exploitation. A proud graduate of Thurgood Marshall School of Law, TSU, where she now serves as adjunct professor. Judge Lawton Evans has deep roots in Harris County's diverse communities through her lifelong membership at Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church, service as former secretary of the Harris County Democratic Party, and active involvement in organizations spanning from the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated to the Mexican American Bar Association to Jack and Jill of America. On that note, we're going to give a round of applause to Sister Judge Audrie Lawton Evans, Sister Judge Audrie Lawton Evans, and y'all give a round of applause that she'll
Thank you. Well, good morning to everyone. I want to first thank you, right, for being here. I think this is a wonderful thing that you're doing, right, to do this. It takes all of us, right, coming together in communion to talk about the issues that are facing us every day. So I am Audrie Lawton Evans, former judge as of like 2 weeks ago. So I had to step down from my judgeship.
Oh, wow. Okay.
To run for this office. But now I am your candidate for Harris County attorney. But more important than that, I and a native Houstonian. I grew up on the southeast side of town in a little neighborhood called South Park. I went to high school here, went to law school here, and I raised my family here. This is my community, and that is why I'm running for county attorney. Our community is under attack. We are being attacked by the federal government. We are being attacked by our own state leadership in Austin. We have to protect Harris County. And I believe, well, I know that I am the only candidate in this race who has the ability to do so. I'm the only candidate in this race who has actual trial experience. That means I have gone to court. I've tried thousands of bench trials and 50 jury trials, okay? I am the only candidate in this race who has managerial experience. I have managed large staffs and I've managed large dockets when I was a judge, as well as being in-house counsel for a company here in Houston. I am also the only candidate in this primary who has been a judge and has judicial experience. And that's important for a couple of reasons. One, I actually sat over cases that are brought by the county attorney's office. And we'll talk a little bit more about what the county attorney's office does. But know that I have been a judge that has decided the cases that the county attorney's office files. I am also the Republican, person or that candidate that's on the other side was also a judge. And so we need to beat the Republican. And so I believe that I am the candidate that has the best ability to do that. In addition to all of those things, I also have the drive, the passion, the vision, all of that. And I look at the county attorney's office as being the people's law firm. It is your law firm. And as county attorney, I would be the people's lawyer. So that's my opening. I would love to tell you guys a little bit more about what the county attorney's office does. And then we can talk and just have some questions and answers, right? So if you guys are familiar, everybody knows about a DA, right? We always hear about the DA, the district attorney, right? In some counties, the district attorney, if it's a smaller county, and the county attorney are meshed into one, right? The district attorney handles the criminal stuff. County attorney handles civil. Well, in a county as large as Harris County, it's broken up because it is so big. We have 5 million residents in Harris County. So you have the district attorney's office and you have this county attorney's office. Our outgoing county attorney was, you may know him, his name was Christian Menifee, now Congressman Christian Menifee, which meant that this seat opened up. So this is an open seat. We are in the middle of early voting, but we'll come back to that. All right. So the county attorney's office the county attorney is the chief civil legal officer of the county. That means that the county attorney touches every section, every part of Harris County government. County attorney represents the commissioners, represent the county clerk who's responsible for our voting, represent the tax assessor. The county attorney's office also represents the hospital district. So all of the county hospitals, represents the sheriff's department, represents the fire marshal, represents the appraisal review board. All right. So you can see that it represents all of the entities. Yeah. And in doing so, we work with each entity when they're dealing with contract review, compliance, also defending them if they're actually sued. The county attorney's office also has about 7 or 8 other divisions. And this is where the public kind of comes in. The county attorney, I always kind of look at it as a mini AG's office. So if you know the AG in Austin, county attorney does a lot of things that an AG Austin would do for Texas, county attorney does for Harris County. So the county attorney has a environmental section, a consumer protection section. County attorney represents CPS, okay, in all of their dealings, and has an affirmative litigation section. The affirmative litigation section is the part where you may have seen some of these cases on the news, right? It enables the county attorney to sue on behalf of residents. So you might have heard of the creosote, clusters, the cancer clusters in 5th Ward. Yeah. County attorney can sue on behalf of those residents. You may have emissions. The county attorney sued Volkswagen for emissions that were causing our air quality to go down. The county attorney came in on consumer protection on a fraud case, which got some news as well, when there were about 50 people who had been defrauded from a deed. This person went through and made up or forged deeds in their name, and then they found out later that their properties had been deeded away, right? So the county attorney was able to come in that instance and sue on behalf of those 50 families, right? So that's kind of an overview of what the county attorney's office does. We collect the taxes for the tax assessor, so the property taxes, collect taxes for the toll road authority. And the office itself is over 300 employees. So it is a very, am I moving?
No, you good. You gotta take the other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
person's
All
off.
right, no, go ahead. And so the county attorney, again, has the office of about 300 employees and located downtown. So that's a brief overview, right, of what the county attorney's office can do for you. All right. Any questions? Or I guess I can tell you some things that I want to do,
I
right?
have a quick question.
Sure.
So correct me if I'm wrong, because God knows I probably am. It sounds like the office, your job, once you win,
Mhm.
is to protect the entities or organizations of the county.
Correct, as well as the residents. in a
Okay, that's my
different
question.
way.
How would you protect the residents of the
Okay.
county?
Right, so when we talk about the cases like the creosote, like the creosote patches, I mean,
Okay.
the concrete patches,
Uh-huh.
the neighborhoods that are being affected. So the county attorney would sue on behalf of the residents
Oh, okay.
that live in those
Okay.
neighborhoods
Okay.
because there is environmental harm that's
okay.
being done, right?
Question 1B.
Sure, yes.
How does that process look if there's an issue with whatever in the community?
Yes,
And the community needs help with that issue?
yes.
How does that process look? How does that work?
Right, so I always tell people, if you remember, or I don't know if anybody in this room has watched the movie Aaron Brockovich. Have you ever watched that?
Yeah.
Okay, so Aaron Brockovich is a great example of how these things work and how I want to make sure that the county attorney is in tune with the public,
Okay.
right? So typically you'll have someone in a community that is probably a community leader
Yeah.
or someone that is speaking out against whatever has happened.
Okay.
That's how it starts, right? With the ground level. And if they're noticing that so they may call the office, or maybe a couple of people get together and say, hey, we're experiencing some issues with our water,
Yeah.
right? Okay, they contact the county attorney's office.
Okay.
We have investigators,
Mhm.
we have liaisons, right?
Okay.
Who can go out, right, in the community and meet with these folks.
Okay.
Okay. Obviously in that realm, you want to, if it's something that we see that there is an issue,
Mhm.
you want to go and see how many other people are affected, right? And that's
Okay.
that Aaron Brockovich spirit, right? You go knock on doors, you
Right.
go talk to people,
Right.
see who's interested in
Okay.
being a part of this, right?
Okay.
And then, I think that so much, the groups like this,
Mhm.
right? People like you
Yeah.
are trusted messengers in your community,
I hope.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Using and leveraging people like that, pastors in the community, leaders, civic leaders,
Right.
to make sure we have an ongoing relationship
Okay.
with neighborhoods, with
Right.
with groups, so that when these issues do arise, you know who to call.
Sure.
And so that's one of my big priorities, is making sure that everybody knows what the county attorney's office does and how it can work for you.
Okay. So,
Okay.
but that's just on the civil side.
Yeah, well, it's all civil. So this is the county attorney's office is all civil. We
Okay. And
handle
the criminal
no
is the
criminal.
DA side.
The criminal is the DA.
So how does a community, when does sometimes a civil thing can be criminal behavior? So how does a community determine who to go to? How do you determine civil
Well,
from criminal?
say this, that if the community were to come to us
Mhm.
and we looked at the civil side and realized there was a criminal component,
Okay.
definitely would work with the DA's office to make sure that they investigate it
Beautiful.
as well,
Okay.
right? So, and that's part of good government too, right?
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
that all of your officials are working together.
Okay.
Because it takes both sides,
Yeah,
right?
it does.
It takes
Yeah.
both. So yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
All right. I love that answer. Thank you.
Right. And that's part of what, my plan of action is to I want to expand upon the great things that the county attorney's office is doing,
Mhm.
but I need the public to know,
Yeah.
right? I need the public to know so that we can be a resource to the public. And so I pledge to do more of this, have my office in forward or front facing in the community.
Okay.
Meaning my office will attend Civic Club meetings.
Right.
My office will attend the PIP meetings,
Yep.
meetings like this,
Yep.
all throughout the year, because that's when we find out what's happening.
That's
in the
right.
community.
That's right. Amen. Okay. So I ask my next question. Anybody else?
Anybody else have a question? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, but I want you to like say who you are again, because I don't want people to get confused, should that name something.
Oh, touche. Go ahead.
Sure, sure. Audrie Lawton Evans, and I am running to be your next Harris County attorney.
Awesome,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Ah, negative agenda.
Cora, she
Let me
remembers.
say this. Okay, so let's see. How do I couch this? All right. A negative agenda, right, would be an agenda that could benefit maybe a few people at the expense of a lot of people. Okay. A negative agenda is one that might focus on profit over people, right? And so, a lot of times agendas aren't written down, right? Or not necessarily readily available for everybody to see, because it's not designed for us all to see, right? And so, I firmly believe in good over evil, right? And I believe that if we can't know all of the people and all of their intentions and all of the negative agendas that are out there, just know that they are, right? We have to focus on our agenda,
Right.
and making sure that we get people on our side, because we care about everyone, right? If you notice, when I talk, I say residents of Harris County.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because we're all people. And so you see some folks who try to divide us. That's a negative agenda when you try to divide people. Want to take care of our poor, of our elderly, of our young children. Negative agendas typically don't care about those groups of people.
Yep.
Okay. So, we as residents of Harris County, we have an obligation too to take care of each other and to take care of those people who have less than us. All right. And that's a positive agenda. Right. So just know that if it feels bad, if it feels negative, if it feels small, right, and that it's only benefiting a small group, then it might be more negative than positive. All right. Yes, ma'am.
But what would be like an example?
Okay. Example would be Project 2025, right? Project 2025 is, we are feeling, she probably doesn't know what that is. You'd write it down. Right.
Excellent questions.
Yes, let's see, this Project 2025, back, trying to think of like the pipeline to prison kind of thing, the agenda of trying to make, where you have people who are put in jail, right? That is disproportionately affecting certain communities, right? That's a negative agenda. The fight to suppress our vote is a negative agenda, right? So you see, when I say that our state leadership and our federal government is they're trying to control our local control over our elections.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when people decide that they don't want groups of people to vote, that is a negative agenda, because you're trying to keep a group of people from voting when we all have the right to vote. Yes, ma'am?
How is that?
How is that? Oh, it's because you have a small group of people who want to remain in power, right?
No, how are they preventing?
Oh, okay, changing laws. All right, good question, good question. Changing laws, okay? Making it harder for a person to cast their ballot. You will see, this is coming from Austin, right? So the Austin is the legislature. Those are people that decide laws. I feel like I'm in my teaching mode, which is great, right?
You are.
And I teach federal government too. Okay, good question. So one of the things that they're trying to do now is that there's this thing called the SAVE Act, right? And they're trying to
Yeah.
make it where you have to bring your birth certificate to register, okay? That you've got to bring your birth certificate. For women, this could be a problem because if you've gotten married, your last name is going to be different from what's on your birth certificate. So you get to there, you go and you try to register, they're gonna say, no, you can't register because you have a different last name, right? That is a law that has been put into place, or they're trying to put into place, that will suppress voters. And it suppresses voters in a couple of different ways, right? Some people, it's just gonna be too much of a hassle, right? They're gonna know and find out that you have to do this. They're gonna say, hey, you know what? That's too much of a hassle. I'm not even gonna go vote, right? You have some people who will not know that there's been this change. They will get there, they will, try to register, they'll be told, no, they can't register. Now, they've got to go, and you can't even, and my understanding is you can't even bring your marriage license with you. It has to be that your license has to reflect what's on your driver's license, or, has to reflect what's on your birth certificate. Yes, ma'am.
Would another example be the redistricting?
Oh, that's a huge one, right? Redistricting, which is changing the maps, right? The voting maps. And because right now we have, well, always, we've had certain areas and you would know who to vote for based upon your area, right? And now we've had a push, and that was in the state legislature too, to change those lines. And that means now you've got people who used to be in one district voting, and now they're in a completely another district. It causes confusion. It changes the electorate, or the people who are voting for folks. And so that's also designed to suppress our votes, as well as to reduce our participation and representation in Congress.
Okay, so we're gonna let Cora ask this.
Okay. Yes, you got a lot of questions,
Yeah.
Cora. That's good. Yes.
One afterward.
Mhm. Okay, all right. Question about immigration, right? And the legal immigration. All right. So here's the misconception. You've always had to be a citizen to register to vote, right?
Already approved.
And so it's already, there's already that requirement. This is more of an intimidation factor, right? An intimidation, a way to intimidate people who may even be citizens, right? Not to show up at the polls.
Yep.
And so because you will see, and you might have seen some of these things with ICE and these in different cities, right? And, picking up people, or trying to deport people who are actually citizens, already. And so, the talk around the legal immigration, right, has been very much amplified, right? And but it's not always for the good reason, because those laws have already been in place. We are already, people who are here illegally and who commit a crime are already sent and deported back.
Yeah.
That has always happened.
Yes.
And that's always happened. What we're seeing now is they're using those talking points, right, to make people think and to justify some of the things that they're doing, but it's really not a good thing.
Okay, Cora, hold that question for me. So you talked about earlier, you mentioned Christian ministry, which is a good segue to my next question, which will lead you into what you want to do,
Okay.
once you win.
Absolutely.
You state on your website that you want to build upon the foundation that Christian laid. Can you talk to us a little bit about that foundation that you want to build upon, and tell us how you want to do it?
Sure. Well, again, I think, let me say this. The county attorney's office has always been around, right? One thing that Congressman Menifee did was to use, you gotta always put respect on the name. You gotta put the respect on the name.
Respect on it.
All right. He used the affirmative litigation, okay? And that is the stuff I was talking to you about, the environmental stuff, right? The consumer protection, the suing doing more to
Right.
go and sue on
Yeah.
behalf of the residents and
Right.
making sure that we hold, corporate polluters accountable,
Yeah.
that we hold corporations and, as far as price gouging and fraud and scams. And so I want to continue that,
Okay.
I think my first priority will be our voting right,
Mm-hmm.
because that to me is what's under attack the most right now.
100%. Yes,
Okay.
Yes,
And so, that means being able to be proactive. And I want to establish a voter protection coalition.
Okay.
This would be a group that not only works with the county attorney's office and lawyers, but also brings in, like we said, those trusted messengers.
Yeah.
And in the community, brings in organizations like the ACLU, the NAACP, because it's going to take all of us
Right.
to come together to combat these threats, right? Because a lot of times it'll be during an election,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
so we have to tell people, if you see something, you need to say
See
something,
something, say something, right?
right?
Right.
Because there's ways that that they will try to suppress the vote, even right now, right? Even things that are happening right now.
True. Yeah.
And so, one, we already have a hotline, especially during voting season, right? To talk about what's happening, but I want us to be much more proactive. That means going to Austin, testifying in Austin when you've got the ledge in session
Yeah.
against these restrictive voting, provisions.
Mm-hmm.
It means if we need to, using the bully pulpit, right?
Okay.
Gathering leaders, calling stuff out. I think that's where we are right now. It's like we have to get people to wake up.
Yeah.
We have to get people to understand that you can't just go from point A to point B for work in the morning and come home every day and not be aware of what's really happening in our country.
Right.
We are in a crisis.
We're in crisis mode.
in our
Yeah. Yeah.
country.
So I'm assuming that the coalition you want to start doesn't exist.
Not in that way.
Okay.
So we do voter protection, but it has typically been more reactionary, right? Okay, wow, there's something's happening here, we're gonna have to sue. We're gonna have to sue this administration, or we're gonna have to file a brief to help do this, right? This is much more, we're trying to, hands up or boots on the ground as well, right?
Okay.
In addition to the ability to sue, we have to also inform.
Okay.
That is a huge part of it, is educating the public
Right.
on what's happening, because we need folks to know, hey, if you vote by mail, you got to do it this way.
Right.
You've got to get it in.
Right.
You've got to sign that, and that's going to take working with our community leaders.
Okay.
Because we need to get that word out. Yes.
So since it's not as expansive and inclusive as it could be,
Mhm.
I'm assuming as of right now, a lot of things don't happen because that coalition doesn't exist.
Well, you can only assume that is the case. And right now what we do is we have all of these groups in silos.
Mm-hmm.
They're all doing their job. They're all trying.
Yeah, in their
right?
silo.
In their silent,
Right,
right? And
right.
so my thinking is we bring them together. We, look at the state of voting and what's happening. We look also at other jurisdictions and what's happening there. I believe in collaborating.
Okay.
And you best believe that our county is under attack because it's a blue county.
100%.
And so I believe that, let's get the other county attorneys from the other counties that are blue counties together, right? Let's collaborate, let's talk. You've seen that with the AG in Minnesota.
Okay.
Love him. He's great. Keith Ellison.
Yeah.
He has done that. So when they're doing press conferences and stuff, he's standing with the other county attorneys and whomever else, because there's power in that collaboration, right? So those are the kind of things I want to do. I want to, look at the trends, look at what's happening. We are in a different situation because we are a red state.
Mm-hmm.
So like with ICE, for example, we cooperate with the voting rolls. We handed them over.
Right. Oh, really?
Oh,
Wow.
the Austin, okay?
Yeah.
Our governor handed over all of the voter rolls for Texas.
Is that legal? I don't think that's legal.
Well, I mean, look,
Yeah.
what's happening, what is legal that's happening, right?
Right.
And so that's another thing, is like, we're in this shock and awe. Like, how can somebody do that?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, how does that happen, right? But what are we doing? Every day that we're not doing something,
Sure.
they're winning, right? They are way ahead of us.
Yep.
Because again, if you looked, we talked about that negative agenda,
Yeah.
Project 2025.
Yeah.
That's been in place for a while,
Yeah,
okay?
and they're ahead of schedule.
And they're ahead of schedule, right? And we are still trying to figure out our bearings and
Right.
what are, and some people aren't even engaged.
Yeah,
you
Bill.
know, Bill,
Yes.
right? So, it's important that we have that piece that we literally are working with the community. I can't stress that the most,
Yeah.
right? Is that our community needs to be engaged and understand what's happening on on our basic level. And the importance of voting, right? Because that's another, aspect of it. Our local elections are probably the most important elections to everybody sitting in this room.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
We can't necessarily control what's happening in, DC all the time, right? But we can certainly control what's happening here in Harris County and our local elected officials and making sure we hold them accountable as well.
Okay.
So, that's one of the things that, I want to do is just make government accessible
Right.
to everybody.
Another great segue to my next question.
Okay.
Cora, you got a question? No?
Not now, no.
You sure?
Well, are some of the reasons why I speak up?
Yes, what?
She's like, you said wrong.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, make it plain.
Doesn't matter to say it.
Yeah, just say what you
Right,
was.
because, like,
Okay, what was the first part of it?
is some of the reason why these people are fighting.
Okay. All right. Okay, so this is this, let me say the ICE has existed for a while before this, okay? But typically, ICE's responsibility would be to work with the governments, the local governments, and you wouldn't necessarily see them like you've been seeing them now, right? They would not be taking over the streets. They would not be picking up people off of the streets. That is typically a job for your local law enforcement. Right. And what would typically happen is law enforcement would stop someone because they had probable cause, right? There's something that was wrong, right? Somebody either didn't have their tail light on or they're speeding or something that causes them to have to get stopped. They get stopped, they get arrested, then they're determined that they may be here illegally, right? There's a process after that in which the ICE would have been notified that they have someone in custody and that would be taken care of very much behind the scenes.
Yeah, a process that has worked.
Has worked for
Yeah.
years. What we are seeing now and why you are seeing people upset and fighting, right, is that ICE has, for no other reason than because the president of the United States wanted it to happen, gone into this state, into Minnesota, okay? And did all of that, started walking the streets, started picking people up, started snatching people. You imagine you walk outside right now and in front of your mom, okay, they come and they snatch you and put you in a van and drive you away, okay? And so what you are seeing is people are taking to the streets because they are tired of it. They are sick of it, and it is illegal for ICE to operate in that way, okay? And so this is where when you see the perceptions, and let me ask you a question. How did you know that there was fighting going on? You were informed by it? Do you think you saw something, or did you hear something, or how did you find out about this? Okay, all right, okay. So whenever, let me say this, whenever you hear something, right? It's fine to hear something, and then you need to research it and make your decision as well, right? I know that how old are you? 14. All right, well, you're there, honey, you're getting there, okay? Because there's something called opinions, right? And a lot of people have a lot of opinions. What we want to do is focus on fact, right? And in order to figure out when something's fact, and it's okay to listen to different people's opinions, but in order to form your own opinion,
Yeah.
you want to go and look it up.
Yeah.
Right? You can go online, go to Google, look it up. You can, talk to your mom, ask your mom, ask other people, right? And that will help you determine what your opinion would be. But it's also part of the misinformation.
Yep.
It's part of a purposeful,
Or,
it's correct, right. It is,
multiple sources. Yes.
it's part, I even talk about, I was talking to someone the other day and I said, have you noticed how the news looks different?
Mhm.
Have you noticed that?
I have.
Oh, the news is so, one way now, right? And that's because they bought the news up.
Yeah.
They bought the news.
Yeah.
It's
government control media.
They're gone. Yeah.
I mean,
And so when you get into the point, and that's again where our crisis is, like we're going about our day, when the government starts controlling the information that comes to you, we're in a very scary position,
Yeah.
right? Because that means that information is being filtered to us.
Yeah.
And if there are things that they don't want us to see, then we won't see it, right? And so we've got to do more now in researching, talking to people, finding out, what's happening. Look up ICE and see what the history of ICE is. Look up protesting and why people typically protest. These are very interesting times in our history. And that's kind of where I'm a little bit of a nerd, a history nerd, but I was like, I really thought about this as if we are in a huge time, like in history.
Yep.
Right. And what do we want the history books to say
Right.
about us
Yeah.
right now? Do we fight? Do we, or do we give up?
Yeah.
Right. This is not new to history
Mhm.
in different civilizations,
Yeah.
right? It just looks different because we are in a different time.
And I don't think it's ever happened here before.
Oh, it's never happened
Yeah.
here. Yeah. And same thing with like COVID. First of all, I feel like we've been through a lot in our in our lifetime. Because I've never been through anything like COVID before either, right? But we have never been through anything like what is happening right now.
Yes, ma'am.
Our election, even in 2026, is at stake. They don't want us to have one.
Yeah.
All right. And let that sink in. If we don't have an election, what does that look like to be an American citizen? What does that look like? And what are we prepared to do, more
Right.
importantly?
Amen.
Right.
Okay. My next question is, how can the Harris County Attorney's Office help make Harris County more affordable?
Oh, okay, good question. So the Consumer Protection Division can do just that, right?
Okay.
So Consumer Protection Division protects the residents from scams, protects them from price gouging.
Okay.
Okay. We live in a county that has and experiences a natural disaster every year, some kind of natural
At least
disaster.
one.
At least one, right? And they seem to be changing up on us too.
Yeah.
But the worst thing is after that is, there's a period of time when prices go up,
Right.
And it's the worst time because you have residents at their worst.
Mhm.
And then we have to deal with, companies trying to take advantage of that.
Right.
And so currently there is a hotline. I want to upgrade that into kind of more technology to where you can in real time, take your phone, take a picture of a price on something to show that maybe this store is charging a very, high price for something,
Right.
and upload it to the portal. And, we can see, it's kind of like do y'all belong to, what's that neighborhood app or whatever? Kind of
Next door.
next door, right. Kind of a next door type of situation to where you can report in real time and then the county attorney's office can do an investigation.
Okay.
If there are more, and then that's the other part. Now, this doesn't mean that you by yourself, try to purchase a piece of gum and they charge you $2 or whatever. That's fine.
Mhm.
But once we get a number of people reporting about the same thing, right? These are kind of looking like class action kind of suits, right? Not just one, because if it's one, then that means you hire an attorney and you hire that attorney to, like, if you bought a car, if you bought, something and it wasn't what it was, that's a private cause of action, right?
Okay.
We're talking about nuisances, we're talking about, a collective type thing. So if it's reported that businesses are continuously doing this, then the county attorney can come in, investigate, and ultimately sue on behalf of the thing.
We-
And that helps prices, yes.
We've had multiple candidates come through over the past few months. And a lot of them have talked about wanting to incorporate technology more as it relates to making Harris County, making the city of Houston better. How long have you been a judge?
5 years.
5 years. How much experience do you have in the legal system working?
Oh, 23 years.
23. Over those 23 years, have you found that is most certainly an issue, the lack of usage of technology to make the city and the county run? And if so, why?
Oh my. So, I mean, look, your governments, and I'll say this, I tell people all the time, my first job was the AG's office.
Okay.
My first salary was $33,000 a year as an
Okay.
attorney.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jesus. It's after college.
This is after law school.
Wow.
Okay. All right. So I just want you to know that your government tends to run a little bit behind
Mhm.
the private sector,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that we can't come in and try to do better, right? As a judge, that's exactly what we did. You know, we came in, worked together to streamline stuff. We went from paper to paperless, right? During COVID, dealt with Zoom. So we had trial by Zoom,
Okay.
which we still have,
Right.
right? Because we realized it was efficient,
Yeah.
right? It works,
Yes, ma'am.
right? It's hearings, and so those are the type of things that we'll still do at the county attorney's office. They actually have some folks that do work from home or a combination thereof, right?
Okay.
So yeah, absolutely. I think that we are going to be in a situation where we have to adopt some of the technology.
Okay.
AI is moving very fast. Zooming,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so, but the county and any government, there's always this process.
Sure.
There's always, you gotta go, you gotta figure out the budget for certain things,
Yeah.
software, all of that kind of stuff. And bring it before the commissioners and, have to get approval and all of those things.
Okay.
But I think that the point that I want to, say is that I would be forward thinking. That is the type of person I am. So I'm not looking at just how the current county attorney's office is operating right now
Mhm.
and all of the government entities, because again, county attorney's office represents all of them, right? I'm looking at how do we get to, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, right? Planning, making sure that we have proper planning for all of these things.
Okay.
That includes technology.
Okay.
A lot of times it's a little disjointed, and I think if it was more centralized, it would be a lot better.
Okay. Okay. Before I go to my next question, anybody else have a question?
Speaking of that, is there anything that you can foresee that maybe as a county we need to prepare for that maybe don't see you have to prepare for? Like gentrification came, I was like in rooms where I could see that coming like 5-10 years before it happened. So
yeah, so I mean, again, I think we'll see about these data centers. I think that's going to be very interesting because there is a tremendous suck on our water and on our grid. So that is something that I am concerned about and want to do more research about and about the permitting process, like all of those things, because I think that's going to be something. It's like we move faster than we have the information, right?
It's like the Texas stock market, I think coming to Dallas.
Yes,
Like how far in advance did they know that was happening?
right.
There's something similar that we
Mhm.
don't know about as a regular community.
Right.
Don't have to say the data center.
Yeah, the data centers, I think is going to be an interesting, we'll see how that works. Again, the elections, I mean, I just don't think people understand how scary this is, right? And where we are positioned in this state where we're not gonna, our state, like I said, our state government is okay with all of it,
Yeah.
right? And helping, actually, actually helping, right? Yeah.
And also, I think that people don't understand how policy actually affects their everyday lives.
Yes, no, absolutely, yes.
And I think it goes back to what you said a few times already. This whole Project 2025 thing. People have no idea how big it is. They don't understand the impact. Like when we started talking about it, February of 2025 last year.
Mhm.
Our Juneteenth event was about Project 2025. Online events, offline events, and people just didn't want to believe it. That's a Democrat scare tactic. They can't do that. That's not legal.
Uh-huh.
Well, when you control all the legal mechanisms of government, anything that is legal becomes illegal and vice versa.
Yes.
You know, so we don't understand, as what you just said, we are on the precipice of the America that we know, as many issues that she has, being the exact opposite of what we've grown up with, because so many rights, so many laws, so much social safety net support is going away. And we forget that, talking about answering Sister Cora's question, that this agenda thing is a big deal. Because there are a lot of people who want the space between have and have not to be a lot greater. And the reason why they're always attacking the vote is because that is the only thing we have left to stop them from doing what they want to do.
Absolutely.
And if you're not engaged using that one weapon that you have, your right to vote, which is why they're always going after it.
Right.
If you don't use that, then it's very possible that you can find yourself in another kind of slavery system, another kind of caste system.
Yes.
And that's what America is moving toward. If
Yes.
you're born poor, you're gonna die poor, because there's gonna be no way to get out of it. And my next question, which goes to what I'm saying now, what you guys are just talking about, how can the district attorney's office help push back against extremists
Mhm.
as relates to them trying to take over the government and
Right.
to make the lives of people worse?
And this is where we talk about this bully pulpit, right? This
Okay.
is where we talk about speaking out over injustice
Yeah.
and calling a spade a spade.
Calling a spade a spade.
Calling a spade a spade. I think we see Congresswoman Crockett is
Yep.
doing just that.
Yep.
Right? And so we need more of that. We need more people coming together that have a voice, that have some kind of pulpit to let people know what's happening. And then we need those folks who are organizers, right? To step in, and then, even if it's small groups like this, come in and organize and educate the members so that they know what's happening as well.
Yep.
So it's a speak out. It's an organization behind that. Look, one of our greatest icons, right, has passed away,
Yeah.
right? Reverend Jesse James.
Yeah.
And I've kind of gone back. It made me reflect a lot, right? And especially about our community, a Black community. That's what I'm talking about, right? Is that we have to get back to that,
Yep.
right? The rapid response that we used to have, we no longer have that.
Yeah.
We no longer have a leader, or group that is saying, okay, we're going to push back on some of these things that are happening politically in our neighborhoods, our countries, and all of that.
Yeah.
And so we need to get back to that. We need to get back to that, church meeting, that, hey, galvanize, and make it a point. This election, my election, is one of those that I believe is like that, because you have to look at the push and the gains we've had, right?
Yeah.
As a people.
Yeah.
And the actions other people are taking to take us back.
Yeah.
All right.
They want to take us back over 100 years.
Yes.
I mean, literally.
Yes.
100 years of progress. They want to
Yes.
cut it all out, and they've already begun to do
They've
that.
already begun to do that.
From
right?
the social safety net to the education, quote-unquote, education system to Black history, taking down memorials that talked about what Black people have done, and putting back up memorials of people who had slaves, people who were racist, because the leadership of the country is racist.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
And then in this race, and this is what we're talking about, this election, just pay attention,
Yep.
right? Because
Yep.
we had a Christian ministry.
Yeah.
Okay, who are we going to select to be the
Sure.
replacement?
Yeah.
All right. And
Yeah.
what does that person look like?
Right.
Does that person have those values?
Yeah.
Are we going back?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff we have to look at, because if we don't, if we're not intentional,
If we're
we
not
will
in
wake up, right?
If we're not
And we will no longer have folks like us in power
Yes,
or
ma'am.
in positions of power.
Yeah.
You can count on me that if I'm here now, you can contact me once I'm in office, right? And have that actual direct contact with your own public official,
Yeah.
right? We won't necessarily have that if our community is not represented at the top.
Okay.
Okay.
Potentially tough question for you.
Okay.
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 I believe that everything has to start with the grassroots.
Yes.
Start with those who are on the bottom of society, quote unquote bottom, those who are just struggling to make it, because that's where most of the people are, no matter what you look like.
Yes.
And I love the fact that you said we have to get the leaders, if you will, of those grassroots communities to be more involved, because they have the people's ear
Correct.
and they can best work with your office and other offices to help make the lives of those people better.
Absolutely.
So the potentially the difficult question is, what have you done to facilitate that process to date?
Mhm.
And what will you do? What can you do? What are you committed to doing if you don't win the office that you seek?
Okay, good questions. All right. Well, so to date, it's good that you asked that. I actually have, been on the ground as a grassroots
Okay.
organizer.
Amen.
I was the chair of the Houston Black American Democrats, along
Okay.
with Ms. Dennis over here. She was a past chair as well. And so you'll find that, like we've been involved.
Okay.
I've been involved, right? And that meant, trying to educate Black voters,
Mhm.
trying to galvanize them,
Yeah.
empower them,
Yep.
right? We do programming throughout the entire year
Okay.
to bring in officials to talk to them, but also block walking and, working they are out at the polls as we speak
Okay.
right now, pushing for the candidates that that HBAD has endorsed, right? And that was through a process of screening those candidates, asking those candidates the hard questions about how they are going to affect and help our communities,
Okay.
right? And so, I was probably there for about 2 years doing that.
Okay.
And that was after I lost my first election.
Oh.
Okay. So I
Okay.
run, right? I've run before. So I ran as a JP for a JP,
Okay.
not knowing what I was doing at all. Like
Okay.
I was just a lawyer. I was like, I'm gonna run for judge.
Right.
I'm about to do this,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
watch me do this, right? And so then I learned all about politics.
Right.
I was like, woo, this is a lot,
It's
right?
different beats.
But I stayed.
Yeah.
I stayed around, right? Even after that. And that's when I became, part of the solution by, becoming the chair of HBAD, by working as the secretary of the Democratic Party.
Okay.
Like all of these things are unpaid.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but important, right? And so, I have a history, a legacy of that. My parents instilled community service and community activism in me as a young child. My dad worked for the AFL-CIO. My mom was the president of Top Ladies of
So
the think
it's kind of in your blood then.
It's in my blood. Yeah, no, absolutely. And
Okay.
so you'll find, that I will be around no matter what. I will be fighting, even in my attorney capacity against what, the election interference and,
Yep.
and all of those things. I will be a resource.
Okay. I'm glad that you have that experience.
Yes.
That experience matters.
Yes.
Oftentimes we get people who want to run and represent, but haven't been running and are representing before. They want to get out there and represent.
Right.
So there's a disconnect with what you think you can do and what the people need.
Yes.
And we've had a number of our older supporters. I have zero doubt that at least one of them would have asked you, what have you done? Because
Right.
most people haven't done anything. This is one guy they represent. So given your grassroots experience, why do you think, because we've been talking about, we said it several times in several different ways, that there's not enough community involvement and or engagement with the serious things that we're up against.
Right.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think there's such a disconnect with our people understanding the importance of this political thing and voting? Why do you think that exists?
Oh gosh. So I think that there's a tremendous amount of voter fatigue right now, right?
Okay.
There has, and it's by design.
Oh, yeah.
That was part of why the
Everything is by design.
redistricting,
That's
right,
an agenda thing.
right. And so you'll see, like, even with this last congressional race, like it was like 13,000, was it 17, something like under 20.
It was low. It was low.
17,000.
Yeah,
It's low,
low. Low.
right? Very
Yeah.
low, right? And you wonder, you're like, gosh, this is such a high stakes race,
Yeah.
right? It's such a big position. It's such a important position, but yet only this many people came out and voted for it, right? Well, that one's a little different because, of course, again, that was designed to be that way because we've had multiple elections.
Yeah.
Changing of the lines, like all of those things to confuse you.
Yeah.
I think on a basic level, and this is just me, when I compare our family structures and things that we used to do, right? We don't do those anymore
Such as?
as family. Eat dinner around the
okay.
table.
Right.
Have that Sunday dinner.
Yeah.
just in the neighborhood, watch or your neighborhood club
Okay.
that you would go to.
Right.
Talk about what's happening in the neighborhood.
Right.
We've got to get back to some of that. Everything is online.
Yeah.
Everything is a click, and
Yeah.
all of our attention spans are just tiny.
Yeah.
Now, brief. Yeah, brief, right? And so we have to, and this is where we got to get leaders, young leaders,
Mhm.
Obviously, and I've met them. Let me say this, our young people are doing it.
Okay.
I mean, our young folks
Mhm.
that you don't believe the hype as far as crime. Crime has gone down.
Yeah.
Even though they want you to think that
Sure.
it's not.
Yeah.
But our young people, I have spent time. I was interviewed by a young lady at U of H.
Okay.
And I put that on my page, and it was such an enlightening interview. Like, she was just so driven
Okay.
at a young age, right? And I'm telling you right now, that's also why there's that attack on DEI,
Sure.
because we have been taking advantage of the education system.
Right.
We are going and we are graduating, and especially Black women, at
Yeah.
a rate higher than
Especially Black women.
especially Black women.
Right.
Right. And so you see, but then when they take the DEI things away,
Mhm.
Black women have been disproportionately affected as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's your attack on education, is
Mhm.
that because you can't suppress people who are educated.
Right.
It's really hard.
Right.
So when you look at it, it's like the dismantling of all of these systems that we've been so reliant on.
Mhm.
I think there's also this idea that, couldn't be,
Right.
this is, what do you
That's
mean?
right. That's
What
right.
what are you talking
They
about?
can't-
They can't
I mean,
do
really,
that, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you have all of that, but I think ultimately a lot of things are, when Big Mama said you're going to church, you're going to church.
You went to church. Right.
Okay. When folks said, hey, we're gonna go vote, and we're gonna go vote
We're gonna vote.
intentionally,
Right.
everybody was going to go vote.
Yeah.
Right. We don't have that infrastructure
Yeah.
anymore,
We-
but
we-
it doesn't mean that we can't do it. Right.
The one thing that what you just said is one word, which is community.
Community.
We don't have it anymore.
We don't have that.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right. And so how do you move if you don't have the community?
With intent,
right.
you have to recreate it.
Yeah.
But do you think that like there's not as many young people involved in the church, like some of these things, that's because I think that they don't see that it's benefiting.
Right.
Sure.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So then.
And it might be recognizing the BS in church. A lot of BS in churches.
Well,
Not all
there is.
churches.
Yeah. Not
some
all
churches-
churches are created
Not-
equal.
Not just in the church,
Mhm.
but even in voting, if they haven't seen.
Touche.
that these
Yeah.
are not
Yeah.
working,
Right.
it could be the active.
I can dig that.
Yeah.
After,
Yeah.
that's all day long, like I said, keep hope alive.
Yeah.
All-
Keep hope
all
alive.
day.
I know.
Like maybe people
Yeah.
can hope.
No, and that's the
I'll
part.
say there's a maybe.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
people have lost it.
Yeah.
Yes. And then you have a younger generation that, you have some that are very, intent, but then you have some that this is the last thing they're thinking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they've learned that they can make money in a way,
Mhm.
like by doing TikToks and
Yeah.
whatever else, which is good, but
Yeah,
is
but
it good at the
you
expense
Still
of?
gotta be civilly engaged.
You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? The civil engagement or that education piece, because that is so important, education. And I'm not just talking about formal education. I'm, all types
Yeah.
of education,
Yeah.
right? Are things that we should be doing all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very interesting and probably multi-leveled reasons why we're not doing it. But I think it comes down to if our community came back together,
Right.
we could do much
Right.
more.
And it's getting the community to understand the importance of coming back together.
Correct.
And listen.
Just
And-
because they come
yeah.
together don't mean they gonna-
Yeah, and
Correct.
you have to be open to listen,
Yeah.
and you gotta be open to being wrong. I mean,
Oh,
just
yeah.
because Shakira is younger than I am, I'm assuming she's younger than I am. I'm only 22. Just because she's younger doesn't mean she didn't have good ideas.
Oh, absolutely.
Doesn't mean she didn't have something to
And
offer.
that's what you see what's
Yeah.
happening in our party too, right? Like you see that's kind of happening, the experienced and the seasoned,
Yeah.
and then the folks who are trying to come in, and we've got to figure out a way. Like it's not good enough to just say, okay, I'm picking one over the other.
Right.
How do we merge the two? How
Right.
do we say it's when it's your turn, or I'm going to help train you up
Right.
and help build you up so that I can pass the torch.
And you gotta know when your turn is up.
Yes.
Please. You've been here. Step aside.
And
Right.
and that's the other part. That does us no service.
Yeah.
That is a disservice to our community.
100%.
You know what I mean?
For community come together.
Correct.
and that's where it goes back to when I was talking about earlier having right culture.
Yeah.
Because the wrong culture is people thinking individualistically and they get in a position, they stay there. Right culture is understanding you gotta train Shakira because she coming.
Yes.
You gotta give it to her. And that don't mean you're irrelevant. You still have a role to play. But move your ass out of the way. I gotta go to the We got time. Okay. So I'm sorry, you got a question? Yeah, okay. Two
Comments? No, No, I mean, look, and this is the thing, you have to have these real conversations.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And you have to have the real conversations, even with the folks, because let's say this. We used to also embrace our elders.
Right.
Right. And so you have to look at it that way. Like, okay, maybe they now move to an elder status.
Right.
And they can still
Sure.
do things
Your
and
wisdom,
help.
your experience, we still need it.
Absolutely.
But not in that seat. Okay,
Absolutely.
we have time. Okay, so two-part question: the importance of environmental protection
Mhm.
and how you can help us be environmentally protected.
Okay, all right. So I mean, the importance of environmental protection is simple, right? You know, it's the difference between living a healthy life, right,
Mhm.
or dying a slow, painful death,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
could be right. That's the
It happens.
two
Yes, ma'am.
metrics, right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you know, so you want to, and this is a change too, as we kind of gotten into the new, well, as we've progressed.
Mhm.
You know, we used to all eat certain things. I talk about that, you know,
Pig
we
feet.
eat all kinds of stuff. My
Yeah.
parents fed me all kinds of stuff, right? Now I hear that was terrible. Like, you know what I mean? Then you're like, dang, how am I still living? Because I was eating, you know, whatever. And so that's an area where we've got to be more intentional as a community as well.
Yes, ma'am.
And understanding what we're putting in our bodies,
Yeah.
what is surrounding us, right? And calling it out and saying something and speaking up if we see that there's something wrong
That's
that's
right.
happening in our
Need something, say something.
see something, say something,
ma'am.
right? And so, you know, the environmental, I mean, it's the difference between getting cancer. It's the difference between,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
having, you know, skin conditions and hair conditions and, you know, little children that are sick. I mean, if you, nobody, you know, you really don't want to think about the worst case scenario, but
Yeah.
that's out there. And there are lots of businesses that pop up, especially in a city, in a county like Harris County.
Yeah.
And you know, they've got regulations, but they don't always want to follow it.
Right.
That's a money thing,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It costs money to do the proper
Mhm.
disposal of some chemicals.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we've got to be aware and watch and take notice about how are these folks actually doing that, right?
Right.
And that means checking on it. That means having inspectors that go out, but it also means in the front end where the county attorney's office is concerned with permitting, making sure that they
Ah,
sign those
okay.
agreements, that
Okay.
we say you know, have to have proper insurance or, you know, all of those kind of things the county attorney is involved with even
Right.
before a business comes in to put
Okay.
in a plant or anything else, right?
Okay.
And, you know, I would want to know or have that in writing also, a process wherein if there are environmental issues,
Mhm.
where it would be a fast track process in the contract, right?
Okay.
To where we would go to, you know, an investigation, immediate review board or something, right?
Okay.
But you can do in a contract. You can say the parties agree to go to arbitration, or the
Right.
parties agree that they will sit down within however many days or whatever, so that we can have it in the contract that if there are environmental questions and issues,
Mhm.
there is a path. We can, you know, call for them to halt whatever activity is happening, you
Right.
know, that's in the compliance realm, working with TCEQ, right? You know, the environmental section in Austin.
Okay.
As well. And, you know, making sure that when these businesses come in, I do my research, right? I want to see, you know, if they've been complained about in other places, other
Sure.
jurisdictions.
Yeah.
Do they have formal complaints against them?
Mhm.
You know, those things. And that would be me recommending or not recommending that we allow this company to come in and move in.
Okay.
You know, and so that's one of the ways the county attorney can work through that. And then the other way is obviously to file suit if we find that there have been violations.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And go through that process.
Okay. Explain to us the importance of transparency and accountability.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, so transparency is important.
Mhm.
Accountability is important. I believe that your government should work for you,
Mhm.
right? I always tell people, yes, that, public official, but we are really your employee,
Okay,
okay? And that means that you should be able to know what's happening in your government
you should.
at all times, right?
Yes, it may.
Whether you decide to look at not, right? And so like you'll see that the commissioners' courts are online.
Mm.
They are, they're streamed,
Mm.
right, during the court sessions. I want to keep stuff like that.
Yeah.
I want to, there's a Freedom of Information Act.
Mhm.
The county attorney is responsible, kind of like the AG is, when
Okay.
people put in public information requests,
Mhm.
county attorney reviews those.
Okay.
And will give an opinion as to whether or not this information should be released
Oh,
or not, right?
Okay.
I want to lean on, because I think a lot of times people use the Public Information Act as a shield.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily want to use it that way. It was designed to be a process so people could get information.
Okay.
And so I want to lean towards giving information
Right.
as much as possible.
Right.
Obviously, if it's, if it's really, things that are prevented, then you can't. But I believe in, more transparency than not.
Okay.
There's contracting opportunities with the county,
Okay.
right? And so, one thing we kind of had bounced around was, creating a dashboard or something to see when there's opportunities,
Okay.
to contract with the county,
Okay.
to see who has these contracts,
Right.
right? Another level of transparency,
Mhm.
right? I also, want to make sure that our officials, our commissioners and everything, that when, we have our meetings, that they run efficiently,
Mhm.
that, try to work out any of those, because, we see everything is online, everything is available, people
Yeah.
see it.
Mhm.
And I want people to see that the good work our county is doing versus the things that, they want you to see, the little spats and the little
Right,
fights and the
right.
little, things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, as a judge, I believed in accountability.
Mhm.
I was able to make decisions daily
Okay.
that, one person might not be happy about, but it was, I did so as the good decision, and looking at the law. Listen,
Okay.
everything is law centered because this is a law firm,
Right,
right? And
yeah.
so we're looking at the legal act, the legal part of everything
Okay.
versus just, oh, I want to do it. And then there's this whole thing too of just because you can do it, should you do it?
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah.
That part too. And
Okay.
so it's counseling our clients, I'm attorney and counselor at law. So it's counseling the clients and making sure they have good policy and good things
Okay.
in place.
I got 3 questions left, then we'll be good.
Okay,
Yvonne, you good? Here, you got a question?
Yeah.
Good.
okay, you
All
got
right.
your questions.
So,
I got
I-
Okay,
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So, I'm so happy that you explained the difference between the DA's office and the
county
county
attorney.
attorney's office, the criminal and the civil, because I didn't know.
Okay.
And we have an issue, the coalition that we've organized, an issue where we have proof that there was a sexual predator at a high school trying to have sex with a student. HISD, the principal, even the leadership of the district did nothing to properly investigate, see if there were other victims. They didn't inform parents or guardians. They didn't bring in crisis counselors to talk to the kids. A lot of things that they could have done that they did not do. And we've been working to try and not only bring this thing to light to get prosecutions done, but also get some legislation passed to ensure that this kind of thing doesn't happen again. And unfortunately, these things happen in predominantly Black and brown spaces because we don't have the political connectivity, we don't have the understanding, we look the other way, blah, 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 blah. So as relates to the Harris County Attorney's Office and the DA's office, and your Aaron Brockovich, excellent example.
Yes.
Which route should we go to bring light to this issue, which it looks like to us is a HISD sexual predator cover-up? Which way should we go to bring this thing to light and to get change happen the way we need it to happen?
Right. So I would envision a 2-part kind of
Okay.
program, right? And one is it in this area, or what area is it in?
It's in Houston, Harris County,
Okay,
District D, Worthing High School.
District D.
Yeah.
Okay. So you start with those like District D?
Yeah.
Okay, have you talked to District D? The
Of
council?
course, yeah, the
Okay.
councilwoman said, I went to City Views and spoke with her.
Okay, okay.
She said, I heard a rumor,
Uh-huh.
and I was advised that I should sever ties with this person because I heard a rumor. That was good for her,
Mhm.
but she didn't do anything after.
Anything after that? And then, so then you would look at who's your state rep.
Okay,
So here, council person, state rep,
Mhm.
your commissioner.
okay,
Okay, all three of those offices
okay,
are working for you.
okay,
Okay, so I, one, reach out to each one of those,
Okay.
right? In this particular instance, because it's one, or you know of one.
we know of
right?
one, but
there could be others,
yeah,
right,
yeah,
right.
but they
I
do an
hear you.
investigation.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Probably the proper course would be to find an attorney, like
Mhm.
a standalone attorney,
Okay.
right? But someone like a Ben Crump or like someone who is a civil rights
Okay.
attorney, right?
Okay,
And I'm not sure if you've put everything, and well, I'm imagining y'all have put things in writing to the
Sure.
school district, all of that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff, right? And report to the DA's office.
Okay.
Have you reported the incident?
we communicated with the DA's office, but they said they couldn't do anything because there's a lot of gaps in this thing
Okay.
that I'm going to share with you eventually.
Okay,
But the DA said that they couldn't do anything because there was no police report
okay.
and they didn't have any evidence.
Ah,
And the evidence that did exist that got the predator fired, HISD didn't give that evidence to the DA's office.
ah,
And we had to file a Freedom of Information Act request to get to the truth, which we
Uh-huh.
eventually did.
okay.
And that document states that HPD and CPS were notified, but HPD said they don't have a file. So there are a lot of gaps.
Yeah, so I would, and
And I don't know if it's criminal or civil, it's like it's both.
It's both. It
Yeah.
could be both, but you're at a crossroads,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So I think you would need an attorney,
Okay,
okay? Can maybe give you some names of some,
okay.
right? That might do that. Just
But
to,
we wouldn't start with the DA as it relates to that.
well, you're saying the DA has already said that they wouldn't pick it up because they didn't have the evidence.
Right.
And so my thing would be to have an attorney that would try to put together your best argument, right?
Okay,
And look at what causes of action could you possibly bring against the school district?
okay.
Or she could bring against the school district or
Sure.
the child or whomever,
Yeah.
against the school district, against any of the entities and all of that. That's why I say you would want an attorney to kind of just sit down
Right,
with you
to
to kind
map
of
it out, see what's what.
map it out,
Okay.
right? Because yes, the DA may end up picking it up,
Mhm.
right? I mean, as long as you're within the statute of limitations,
Sure.
yeah, which should be long enough for that kind of a
There's
crime.
a statute of limitations on,
Everything. Well, except for
Except
murder.
murder.
Yes, everything except murder.
you know, the statute for child.
So I know for rape, it is 15 years. I don't know for if it goes up because of the age of the child or,
Okay.
you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know that, yes. So, I mean, did it happen 15 years ago?
No, 2024.
All right, so we're good.
Yeah.
You're good. So, yeah, I would recommend, getting counsel, okay? The council is more of an organizer trying to figure out what's happening and
Okay.
which causes of action that you can sue, right?
Okay.
You may end up having to sue in a civil capacity first,
Mm-hmm.
and then the criminal may come after, right? If they just didn't have enough evidence at the time to pursue it.
Okay.
The attorney would probably talk to you about what evidence that the child preserved or the family preserved. And,
Okay.
and so evidence can be many things. It
Right.
doesn't have to just be a police report or a CPS report.
Can the community bring evidence to the DA's office, or does it have to go through an official channel?
No, you can go to the DA's office with it. I just think that you'd have a
Better chance?
better chance or more more powerful voice if you had an attorney that was like, hey, this is what's happening.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
all
we
right.
can talk about it. Yeah, absolutely. I'll get your number.
We going to?
Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry. What'd you say? I didn't hear you.
She has called. So.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm sorry. All right, so.
Last question.
Okay. Well, there are three, but I'm asking them all together.
Okay, that's
And
fine.
they're quick, Shakira, I promise.
Okay.
What time, sir?
She's got a key.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, so.
Yes.
Yeah, y'all leave it alone.
Good.
Yeah, okay, so what's at stake if the wrong person is elected? How can somebody support you,
Mhm.
and why are you the right person to be elected?
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. What's at stake, guys, is all of your rights. Your freedom is at
All of
stake. Yes. Just imagine if we have the wrong person in this capacity,
Mhm.
right? This capacity is there to assist
Mhm.
our public officials and our community.
Can you
and
give a
our-
concrete example of what the wrong person would look like?
A Republican.
Okay,
Okay,
Yeah.
yes, the Republican, the Republican candidate that's
Uh-huh.
in there. believes in Republican values, right?
Okay.
And if we're looking at, we have a we have a supermajority in the commissioner's court, right?
Okay.
What does that look like with and I hate to just be so general, but what does that look like with an attorney that works against them,
Ah, okay.
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's yeah.
Okay.
And that's why it's important. It's important to represent to elect me because I am the most qualified. It's important to represent me because I'm the best candidate against the Republican.
Okay.
It's important to represent me to elect me because I will be here with the community, right? And you have a access to me, right? Even you and as everyone that's on here has
Yeah.
access to me,
Yeah.
right? And so that's why it's important. We have early voting started. This is the third day of
Mhm.
early voting.
Yeah.
We have got to get our people out, right? And get our people out in an informed way. Don't just send somebody to the polls, send them with the information who has that you, if you're engaged and involved,
Yeah.
send them with a list.
Okay.
You can bring in a list with you to the polls as
Mhm.
long as it is printed out because we cannot just mindlessly click.
Gotcha.
All right.
Okay.
Thank
If someone wants to support you, how do they do that?
They can go to Audrie for countyattorney.com. There is a donate button. There is a sign up button as well if you want to sign up to be a volunteer. And just let us, support us. If you see my post, repost it. Tell as many people as you know. This will be the opportunity to have the first woman and first Black woman
Oh, wow.
as county attorney in
All right.
one. All right. So let's make it happen. Thank you so much for inviting me here and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll hug you in a minute. Let me close this out.
Yeah,
Okay, so
Thanks.
my camera off. Bye-bye. Okay, all right. So
If you
this,
share that Zoom. with-
yeah, I'll download it and put it on the website and give you guys a link. So this is why we do what we do. Thursday morning breakfast. Everything happens for a reason, and often things happen against us because we're not plugged into ensuring that it doesn't happen. So we have to show up. We have to understand why we're showing up. We have to have the information that we need so that when we do show up, we're using it properly, and we have to continue to build. That is why we do this. That's why we invite you guys to be here, and that's why we're here every Thursday morning to ensure that we can have our own agenda that's going to put us first and move us forward. So on that note, thank you guys very much for being here. See y'all next Thursday, and thank y'all for showing up. All right.
Right.
And close this out.
Thank you.